It's your boy, the one and only A Switch, aka the 220 times social distancing champion, aka let me touch you with the lights on. Oh boy, I am mature, I promise. AKA put put some salt on that toast so I know it's crunchy. AKA the nigga little bastard. Bringing you yet another episode of Switches Sites, episode 82 to be exact. Today's date is November. Not sure why I said November like that, but November 19th, 2020. We close. That turkey coming. That turkey is coming. You better get ready. Um, you know, where's the one video? I got green tomato, potato, green. Your name. It's about that time. Not for me though. I'm dieting still. You know what? For the probably first time in a couple of years, I think I'm actually going to skip the festivities of um the holidays, um specifically with work and stuff like that too. So of course, stuff want to get in the way regardless. So I might as well take advantage of the situation and stay on it, stick on it. Um, so yeah, for those that don't know, Switch Sites podcast is a podcast where I talk about gaming and all of related stuff in that realm. Yeah. Um, hopefully everybody, well, people that manage to get consoles, the new consoles, are enjoying them. I sure as hell am. We'll talk about that later in the show. Um, yeah, it's kind of crazy, man. It's like about to be Thanksgiving. It's kind of surreal. We've been in a pandemic for I don't know how long now. It's crazy. It's crazy, but hey, things seem to be on the up and up, kind of. Hopefully, maybe with some certain people gone or soon to be fired out of the office. I'm sorry, I just fired. You just gotta put that accent in there. I feel like it's only mandatory, only necessary. Um, yeah. So, without further ado, let's stop the dilly dally and get right into that news. First big topic of discussion. Capcom. Um, if you don't know, probably one of the best um developers out there. Um, making them hits consistently. You got Resident Evil. You got Monster Hunter. You got Devil May Cry. You got Street Fighter. You got man. Is that really it? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of. I mean, you got some of the dormant IPs, Mega Man. You got what else you got? You got Dino Crisis. Bring back Dino Crisis. I'm on that train too. Um, you got some of the sub sub IPs as well. Resident Evil Revelations and all. I mean, there's a whole damn subcategory of Resident Evil like side stuff. But either way, the point I'm trying to say is Capcom is that truth. I speak by firsthand experience, but So it seems like there was a huge ass ransomware leak. So for those that don't know, at least specifically in the tech field, ransomware is basically somewhat similar to a virus for the most part, but I guess the only big difference is that they hold your information against you and basically threaten to expose the information that was hacked, um, if you unless you give them the money or they ask for. I think they're requesting Bitcoin currency or something like that. So Capcom was like, shut your ass up. I don't give a fuck. Just spread all that shit. I don't care. And I pretty much that's what they did. So it's kind of messed up, but it wasn't anything necessarily too crazy that we weren't expecting, at least, that came out. But there are definitely some highlights. Um, Resident Evil Village demo, but we always knew, like, Resident Evil always has this tradition or theme of always releasing a demo before their games come out, so that's not necessarily surprising. Um, Couple interesting things: Monster Hunter Rise, which is, at least to our knowledge, was supposed to be a Switch exclusive title, actually might be going to um, PC as well as Switch. So that's pretty interesting. Um, I don't think people were expecting that. Sort it's not really like crazy but funny. Of all games, source code for Devil May Cry 2 and Umbrella Chronicles. Devil May Cry 2 more specifically, because like I was like, nobody really cares about that game. But I thought that was pretty interesting nonetheless. That, you know, um, Devil May Cry 2. It's like, yeah, I don't care. You can leak it. I don't care. Uh, Umbrella Chronicles. That's kind of interesting. I guess I'm curious. Well, I guess there is a lot of potential you can utilize with source code, since that's essentially the um foundation of a game in terms of development and stuff. So who knows? Maybe we might see a Devil May Cry 2 mod with Dante from the reboot of Devil May Cry 2. Uh, that would just be even more horrible. But I digress. Um, Stadia apparently paid Capcom 10 million to put RE7 and RE8 on their platform. Sony paid 5 million. Resident Evil 7 VR timed exclusivity, demo exclusivity. So, yeah. Oh, the Misadventures of Tron Bond source code, which is I know that's like a very super expensive game currently. Like if you want to get it physically on the PS1, I think it's available digitally on the PlayStation Store for PS3. I forgot they totally segmented their stores now. So not sure why I feel like I keep dropping out. This my mouth is about to eat this mic. I'm not even playing with y'all. I'm about to eat this mic. Um. Oh yeah, there was a multiplayer Resident Evil. Um. The project is supposedly called Project Highway slash Village Online. That is apparently supposed to be a battle royale of some sort, which at least according to leak was tentatively set for September 2021. Um, Interesting. And then the myth, the legend, fellow Capcom leaker Dust Golem, he said that Highway was the code name for Resident Evil Resistance. So my initial guess is that maybe it would be a Resident Evil Battle Royale with Resident Evil Resistance characters and engine with the third person. I feel like that makes the most sense for Battle Royale. Well, I mean, I guess there's there's a lot of first person Battle Royale as well, so I guess I can't really necessarily say that. So That's just gonna be weird. I'm curious though. I would definitely try it out for sure. Being a Resident Evil fan, I am. Um, Ghost and Goblins apparently project. It goes by the name Project Guillotine on the Switch February 25th. This is super weird. Resident Evil 4 for Oculus VR. And Dust Golem said that this is separate from the Resident Evil 4 remake project. So, but why? Yeah, it would have to be first person, that's for sure. But why? I don't. I guess it would just be pretty much the entirety of Resident Evil 4, but in VR. I mean, that. I'm being real critical now, but at the same time, I'll be like, maybe I need to get an Oculus now. Um, not Half Life Alex, but Resident Evil 4 is like, you son of a bitch, I'm in. Apparently a new shooter, multiplayer shooter, codenamed Shield, geared towards streamers, whatever that means. I mean, if I were to go for any new shooter, it definitely would be Capcom. I always just like their pizzazz and like I guess Japanese spin on um games and well yeah, games in general really. So um what else? Ace Attorney 7 in development. Street Fighter 6. I think one notable thing about Street Fighter 6 specifically, supposedly, obviously all this with a super duper big grain of salt, is that Street Fighter 6 is also planned for um, PC and Xbox Series SX and PS4, Xbox One, which is not necessarily surprising, but it is notable since it was like, I guess, maybe potentially assumed that Street Fighter 6 would be PlayStation exclusive as well, like Street Fighter 5, but maybe I think that might have been part of Street Fighter 5's, I guess, pretty much. Mm, I guess that's up for debate. I don't know if Street Fighter 5 was necessarily a successful game, but I know a lot of people had their differences with it. Um, but I mean, of course, the more platforms you're on, the more likely you're set up for success. So I think it definitely makes sense for them to expand this go around, like they did on Street Fighter 4, like this generation. So we'll see. We'll see. All in all, nothing necessarily. Well, I guess I wanted or was looking forward to. Um, it's fine, I guess. I don't know. Um, oh yeah, for Resident Evil Village, at least the supposed rumored release would be April, according to the leak as well. So, again, not necessarily too surprising. It was 2021, and Resident Evil generally, a new one always seems to come out around January or I guess, more or less the first quarter of 2021. So, I'm looking forward to that though. Yeah, it's kind of messed up, unfortunate, but at the same time, wasn't anything necessarily like groundbreaking or like, you know, oh man, this got out type deal, I guess. But it seems like people are still like digging through the ransomware or the leak, as well as obviously the data. I think they said the data was compromised as well. Um, yeah, compromised as well for like the employees, like personal information and like pictures and things like that. So that's still messed up though. Really is. It's like I like leaks, but at the same time I don't. In terms of like, at least in this scenario where like a lot of information was just leaked out. But I mean, it's like in this situation, who do you blame necessarily? I think you could definitely blame like um the COVID situation, not directly but indirectly, in terms of us being forced to work from home, and that kind of presents some security issues in terms of internet and stuff like that too. So all bad, man. All bad. Move it on. Rockstar Games today, out of nowhere, revealed like a teaser trailer on their Twitter account, which seems to reveal probably, at least potentially, the biggest Grand Theft Auto Online update uh to date, which is I think that says a lot, considering one, the frequency of the Grand Theft Auto Online updates, as well as um the size of them, like the all the like notable big like heist update. They had like various um different heist types and like hideouts and all of that, a lot of that, which I've yet to actually fully complete. Um, but yeah, at least in the trailer, it definitely hinted very heavily, at least at like a whole new area. I guess, at least according to the trailer, specifically for GTA Online, and not um a Grand Theft Auto 5 like DLC expansion, which a lot of people want. But I mean, at least at this point, it seems like I think people really just want GTA 6, because what, it's been like 7 years since GTA 5 came out. So it's like at some point you got to cut the umbilical cord. The baby is like baby is 7 years with the umbilical cord. You gotta cut it at some point. Um. So yeah, that's kind of crazy, but I mean, to their credit, they have been pretty much supporting GTA Online very regularly, and even though I think this might be the first game that's maybe not, but at least the first one that comes to mind that spanned three generations of games, three generations of consoles. Um, yeah, that's just, man, it's kind of crazy, like putting that in perspective. But I mean, with each Grand Theft Auto, it definitely takes longer between development cycles, and but at the same time, they generally do deliver and pay off. And then just feeling the fervor from people that like want GTA 6, and then when GTA 6 drops, everybody is just gonna be like straight pandemonium. Everybody is gonna be the most selling Grand Theft Auto to date. Probably then they'll milk it for like what, another 10 years as well, maybe even more than Grand Theft Auto online, or yeah, I guess, yeah, because hasn't been a second one. So yeah, Grand Theft Auto Online /5. So interesting stuff. I don't know. It depends. I could be appeased with this update if it is very substantial and like potentially maybe comes with a pretty big story update, something like the Ballad of Gay Tony, or the Lost and the Damned, or like maybe the length of all those DLCs together would be pretty cool. I'd be I That would satiate me for a little bit, appease me for a while until they eventually come out with GTA 6. Looking into perspective now, shoot, it's probably gonna like right when either the PS5 Series X generation is ending, or maybe, to give them the benefit of the doubt, maybe when, well, most likely the what is it, the mid tier upgrade for you know current gen consoles maybe comes out. So what, like 3 years from now? Who knows? Um, yeah, because considering they're having Grand Theft Auto 5 come out for PlayStation 5 and presumably Series X in 2021 with, enhancements, I feel like just a lot of the PC stuff just coming to these consoles. But yeah, it's hard to speculate because, man, this Rockstar is just really good at that, man. Kind of similar to PlayStation themselves, where they just kind of holding the cards to their chest. You barely ever hear any concrete details about like their next game. Maybe a couple rumors here and there, but nothing necessarily like revelatory or substantial to be like definitive. Where it's still like there's always still room for speculation. But I mean, with this type of game, I think there is always going to be that. So, um, yeah, whatever this is, hopefully it doesn't disappoint. But yeah, looking at the trailers, it looks like definitely some island or at least some additional geography added to the map, the existing map. More than likely, specifically if we refer GTA Online, since it seems like they always want to stick with that or just keep supporting that game because I guess it's making them so much money. This is still crazy how like that game is like literally almost always on the top 20 in the top sales charts and whatnot. So interesting is all I have to say. Moving on. Gears 5. Man, Gears is having a good ass couple weeks so far. We got the Xbox Series X and S update. Um, with that buttery smooth 120 FPS. Um, you got Gears Tactics. At least I played that when it came out on PC. Earlier this year, I think. Um, which is good. I do recommend it if you're into the tactics and you are a fan of Gears. I think they also optimized the controls as well for it. But Gears just out of the woodwork, out of nowhere, just going to drop this whole new Operation 5, which is I guess their terminology for a whole new content pack for Gears, which generally includes like new characters. Well, not necessarily new to Gears 5. That's probably a better phrase. New characters, a ton of new maps, and probably the biggest surprise for me personally is the Scorcher. Ladies and gentlemen, the Scorcher is coming back. For those that may not know, Scorcher was the flamethrower. I think it was only no, it was definitely in 2. I think it was in 3. I don't recall it being in Gears 3, but I think it was at least in Gears 2. So the Scorcher coming back. Then the maps. The maps, my goodness. I think there's 2 new maps, Nexus, Regency, then the classic maps. Oh, it's just some comforting about classic maps. It really is. Of course. It will behoove them not to include this map, Gridlock. I mean, come on now. I think Gridlock has been in like literally every Gears. Even Judgment, the side one. It was definitely Gears 1, Gears 2, Gears 3, Gears 4. Yeah, and Gears 5. So yeah, I think it's that map is like been in literally every Gears, rightfully so, because that map is so damn good. It really is. It's up there. It's at the top. I just remembered. It's like my fucking screensaver too. It's like it's how notable that map is. It's up there like with Lock Tower from Halo, a lot of other classic maps, Dust, Counter Strike fame. It's great. And of course, Clock Tower. That's also a really good map. I do love me some Clock Tower. I think that was in one. Don't think it was in two. I'm pretty sure it was in three and four. So they picking the right ones. I think Canal was in there. Canal was in I think the previous operation. I haven't got to play Gears as much recently or as of late. At least when it comes to multiplayer games, Call of Duty was my jam for the time being. But now like the sun is setting on that game, and I'm somewhat questioning the quality of Black Ops Cold War, but we'll get into that discussion towards the end. Um, but this is pretty awesome. It's they also separated characters and classes in PvE. That's interesting. Major overhaul: the Horde and Escape has separated characters from classes. Now you can pair any character with any class, even characters that were previously not available in Horde or Escape. Want to create an all market super squad? Now you can. Choose your character, choose your class, and dominate the swarm. So, okay. So, yeah, because I remember the arcade mode where that was kind of annoying when you would play arcade, where like each character had a specific set of weapons and abilities, more or less, that like, it would basically um, force you to play a character you maybe don't generally like as, a character you would play otherwise in like multiplayer. Which, yeah, I think that's definitely a really good choice. That like to give some more customization and more, I guess, personalization, really, in terms of you know playing how you want, having it your way. No BK. Is that? I don't even think that's the slogan no more for Burger King. Uh, but but I digress. Uh, a lot of new characters. So Dizzy seems to be the star of this operation. You got the boy Ty Kaliso. Asha Shoden. Then come then. I've totally just butchered that, but real fans know, real people know. Playing Gears 2 all the time, saying that what Asha Shoden. Then go then. No, I totally. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Um, Scourge, yeah, fucking everybody fucking playing. Oh man, you just gonna see Scourge literally every game now. Uh, the Scourge is basically now the new Terminator, because that's all you saw when you play Gears 5 is just Terminators everywhere. That's pretty funny now thinking back on it. Literally every it's like what? Where did all the locusts go? Well, the Terminators, they took over. So there you go. Anya Stroud coming back. She's trying to give us that guidance. Lambent Grenadier, Lambent Theron Guard from Gears 3. Yeah. So pretty cool. And of course they definitely noted the optimizations for Sirius XM. Again, if you have a HDMI 2.1 TV, you would be able to utilize that buttery smooth, juicy even 120 frames per second. Which I played like one match. I was just testing out the console initially because I was gonna play a lot of PS5, which we'll talk about. Um, but yeah, you could definitely tell, and it's great. It's so great. It's so juicy. It's so juicy. I forgot that came from somewhere, and I cannot remember. But whatever. Additional update features. PvP updates. Balancing updates. Uh, rarity. And man, I saw a dope ass execution. That's one thing I definitely love about this Gears 5 is that like each season they generally have new executions and they get like really good with the executions. Like I forgot it was one I was seeing where like they they kept kicking the they were the dude was down. They kept kicking the shit out the dude on the ground, and then like the final like finisher is that they kick the dude's head off like a damn fucking like a fucking football. And I was like, man, I got to get back into Gears, man. If there's any time to get back into it, I think now is the time. So there you go. Just a little enlightenment, just in case. Also, man, how could we forget? I guess this tradition of putting wrestlers in gears is ongoing because the famous tag team duo, or I forgot, I feel like there's a term for like a duo with that like consists of a tag team and a single wrestler, but they're essentially a whole team. I'm pretty sure there's a term for it, but either way, the New Day is coming in Gears as well, which is pretty dope. I don't really follow wrestling like I used to, like back in the Attitude era, but this is pretty dope. Um, well, you got Dave Batista. Now you got yeah, and then the weirdness of Dave Batista is Marcus Phoenix. Sure, all right. But yeah, so you got Dave Batista. Now you got the New Day. I mean, just go ahead and put Steve Austin in there. Why not? Go ahead and put The Rock in there, please. If you do, please. Oh my God, it just writes itself. Freaking Stone Cold Steve Austin. He could have the freaking Stone Cold Stunner. When he stunners them, the head like just decapitates. Like, come on, like Coalition. I'm just saying. I mean, The Rock, of course, give him the people's elbow. I think they kind of got it in there already. I think one of them I saw has it in there. Where they don't copyright on it, but people's elbow, elbow. Um, they just like Gears fashion. They completely obliterate when they do that move or whatever. I don't know. They could get creative. There's a lot of possibilities that they've shown. So I don't know if that price is looking right. I might buy it. Actually, no. I think that was one improvement they made. I think last season is that Gears now has they removed the like atrocious currency system where you're basically forced to buy characters. Now you can actually earn them and actually get the ones you want and don't have to like rely on chance to get a character you actually like working for. So all in all, Gears is on top right now. I mean, in terms of turning things around. Um and moving on. Of course, one of the for sure marquee games that came out this year with the console, which is kind of crazy. I don't think there's a game this good that came out with a console I can recall. Maybe close to Halo, even depending on your taste, of course. But um, Demon Souls remake. Um, I think people definitely received it well. Are pretty much enjoying it. I definitely enjoyed it. I played the hell out of it. I recently beat it yesterday. We'll talk about that next. Um, there was a weird rumor going around that there's this hidden door which isn't in the original game, which I guess Bluepoint has been known to be doing in terms of previous games like Shadow of the Colossus as well. So apparently this was been like a just a murder mystery that like everybody's just huddling up together to try and figure out and like bump everyone's brains together to figure out which I always find pretty fascinating. Just to, as someone who won't do any of the work, but just likes to see from the sidelines to see how the people like formulate to figure stuff out. Because I always am amazed by that, like in terms of like how can one just figure stuff out like this without data mining and looking at code and stuff like that. So either way, like recently actually somebody actually figured out what this door is and unlocks. Apparently I think you have to find these coins apparently, which is like I forgot the conditions to find them. I think they're just hidden around the whole game, basically. And from what I researched, is that you have to give like I think the minimum is 23 of these hidden coins to this random bird that will, after you meet that condition, give you this rusty key, which then opens the said door, and that basically gives you penetrator armor. One of the it's called the penetrator. That sounds so dirty now that I think about it, but either way, he's one of the bosses towards the end of the game in Dark Soul, Demon Souls, um, which is a bit disappointing because at least which I'm pretty sure was the intent of this to get people speculating and just I guess bring more attention to the game, basically. But a lot of people were suspecting that maybe it could be a bloodborne weapon, and then which would in turn insinuate that Blue Point's next project would be a Bloodborne remake, which would be freaking dope as hell. Which I don't think necessarily is out of the question now, especially considering last episode that I think it's still a rumor though, but Sony is at least in talks with buying Blue Point Games. I mean, because man, they have been doing immaculate work so far. Been hearing good things about Shadow of Colossus, as well as I could definitely vouch for Demon Souls remake. So yeah. And there was some weird, random Twitter video going around regarding, it's kind of crazy now I think about it, but I guess it's worth briefly mentioning, even though I don't think it holds any credence. But apparently, in the Nexus, which is a location in Demon Souls, if you're walking in the Nexus, you could somebody actually supposedly heard a Metal Gear Rex sound, which I heard the sound. I guess it could kind of loosely be heard as Metal Gear Rex, maybe, but it's a bit of a stretch. I would assume it's just some random monster that is just a little Easter egg in that respect. But you know, people love to speculate. But I mean, it's you gotta respect the imagination of some people. But I don't. That's Metal Gear Rex is kind of stretching it, but I understand where they were coming from at least. But I'm a go on the side of no. No. Yeah. So yeah. So moving on. In some pretty depressing news for me personally as a Yakuza fan. So Yakuza Like a Dragon, have not played it too much. Played like a hour just to test out my Xbox Series X, make sure everything's good. But some news came out in I guess a documentary with the main head director of the Yakuza series, Tashihiro Nagoshi, where he basically said that originally Yakuza 7, aka Yakuza Like a Dragon in the West, was actually going to be a traditional beat 'em up like the previous games in the series. But because of the April Fool's joke that came out last year, which basically was a satire, I guess, joke, but actually had the turn-based elements that people actually did like and wanted as a game. Well, people, you got your wish, obviously, and I don't have a beat 'em up anymore, thanks to you guys. So, I may be a little salty about that, but it's fine. You know what? Hey, you're happy. I'm kind of happy, but could be happier if the series was actually a beat 'em up, and maybe just one of the few things that we have currently that is not just slowly dying in terms of the genre that I want so much to come back and have a resurgence. Which I mean, admittedly, it kind of has with Streets of Rage 4 and the Ninja Warriors again, and what was the one game? What was it? River City Girls. Um, so okay, but I mean a 3D beat 'em up. All right, like you know, I want to do Komaki Tiger drops on command, where I get rewarded for the timing, but I can't do that because this is turn based. So you know, at the same time, I know they Negotiate and his team wanted to um didn't want to be confined and have to do the same thing over again, pretty much. And they felt that this developing this game did give them the opportunity to do a little bit more in terms of not get complacent and bored in terms of developing, which, of course, is like, what's the point? So, I mean, if this is the median to kind of, you know, ensure a better game overall or whatever, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It just hurts. It just hurts knowing that we are actually closer than we thought that this was actually going to be actually a traditional Yakuza game. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You know, it's not like this is one of the last 3D beat 'em ups that are out there that's now potentially may never be a beat 'em up again, but yeah, it's fine. Okay. To the game's credit though, for the hour I played, I do like some of the elements that seem active in a turn-based game where you can like manually block with timing and with some of the moves you can tap X to do more hits and stuff like that. So I mean, it's trying, which I can only respect and appreciate. But I mean, I still want a Komaki Tiger drop, people. I'm sorry. It's just the beat 'em up fan in me, okay? I'm just saying. So I actually got to check that full interview because I am actually interested in that. Get see his kind of angle, like what he the mindset he had going into this game, and seeing how that kind of played out. So yeah. I think this is also by the cool dude that interviewed Shinji Mikami. I think he has a second part of that interview as well. I got some homework. Either way. Outside of that, that pretty much concludes all the news for this week. Let's get into what I've been gaming. And you already know. Do I even have to tell you? Do I even need to tell you? I shouldn't, but I will. First weekend of the next generation in gaming. So man, not even gonna lie to y'all, this is probably the hardest I've went gaming this past weekend. For good reason, because some dope ass games came out. Alongside the launch of the PS5 specifically. Sorry, Xbox. But I mean, hey, Xbox got some really worthy upgrades. At least me as a fan, personally, enjoy. So, first notable I could find. Because, man, it's this to the point where I'm forgetting what I played, which is kind of crazy. But so the PS5, so hooked it up and everything, and I was like, you know what? Let me get started with that Astros Playroom. That's exactly what I did. Um, I cannot recommend enough trying this game out when you get your PS5, because it is definitely, I'd say, I'd argue one of the best um, demo slash showcase games to date. It is a really dope showcase of the potential of the dual sense, and what it can do, you know, with potential games and stuff like that. Like, man, it's just so many stuff they did with it. Um, of course, the biggest thing, well, I guess, is between the adaptive triggers and the haptic feedback. But the adaptive triggers is like probably the most revolutionary thing for me, at least. Because I mean, we technically kind of got a taste of feedback rumble. Of course, obviously, with a lot of pretty much literally every previous game across multiple generations. But probably the Switch Pro controller, I guess, slash Joy Cons is maybe is pretty close too, but um yeah, it just feels very more definitive and accurate. Is accurate the word? Like, yeah, accurate, if that makes sense. So like when you boot up the game, I forgot how it starts out, but basically like the little robots go in your controller, and like if you move the controller, you really like literally feel the little astrobots moving in the controller. Like you really get that sense as if they're actually in there. I was like, I had to double take for a second. I'm like, how did they get in there? I need a replacement? But yeah. So I mean, it's a lot of stuff and a lot of other things I don't want to spoil for you, fellow listeners, watchers that may have not um have yet to want to mess with it, because it's a lot of delightful surprises, I think. But the other notable one is the spring motion. You might have seen it like various trailers and stuff, but like basically you really get a sense of like the actual spring motion, like a literal spring, how it, like, when you compress it and then release it, how it, reacts. And you kind of get that, definitely that pretty accurate sense on the dual sense for sure as well. So yeah. And then like outside of that, you definitely get a very like genuine, yeah, genuine, what's the word? Genuine, like genuine innocent vibe from the game, very similar to like Nintendo games, which I found very endearing. As someone who generally doesn't play too many traditional Nintendo games, Mario's and stuff. Um, play the M-rated stuff where you cutting heads off and sucking up blood. I don't know. I don't know a game that does that, but you get what you get where I'm coming from. Um, that I think also really makes this game pretty very endearing and charming as well. That adds to the charm. It just felt like this game was very well thought out. Even considering the shorter time frame of the game, it feels like a pretty decent game to an extent, especially like I would assume if you're like going for all the trophies and stuff too. So, um, in that respect, I definitely recommend it. Also, a freaking insane amount of references to especially a lot of dormant IPs that, who knows, maybe this is somewhat of a hint at some of these IPs coming back, like fucking Jumping Flash for the PlayStation 1. Like, I probably can count on I doubt anybody would that's not that's not moderately in the gaming space knowledge wise would even know that game or have a reference of that game if they I guess never played it. I get yeah, it's such a niche game that I don't think a lot of people really even remember it. But fucking jumping flash, like what, like so they definitely get real crazy with the references, and then it's pretty fun, like kind of seeing the robots, basically suited as the notable characters, like it was a couple where I was trying to figure out like who are you again? And I was like, oh boy, oh yeah, the failure that was the Order 1886. Uh I liked the game. I thought it was okay. But then again, I paid like $20 for it. I got it on sale, so I may have not been as privy to it if I paid full price for that game. But I digress. Just a couple cool references like that. Um, a lot. There's a lot in there. I definitely don't want to spoil, but yeah, man. Pretty much almost all IPs that were at least closely associated with PlayStation at one point in time, more than likely, and it was in there. More probably like a lot I actually missed, to be honest. So, but yeah, man, it's just very charming. Really cool. Also, like, what's the word, like recap on the history of PlayStation, and kind of put it in perspective, like how far we've kind of come as like a generation, or as a medium, really, in terms of just the just reflecting back on the memories. Like, oh man, you remember the freaking PlayStation network adapter for the PS2. It's just random stuff. Like, oh, all right, you can just look at it in all detail. Actually, that's another thing too. Like, the detail is pretty immaculate. Like, they live in the literal detail of, like, the actual unit. Like, it wasn't any like loosely kinda close looking object. It was pretty like one for one, in terms of the various like um items and um accessories for it. So highly, highly, highly recommend you try it out if you have a PS5. It is fucking free. It is already preloaded with your PS5 when you boot it up anyway. So I mean, you ain't got nothing else to play. You might as well play it. Sorry, I was doing that. That was my was it is it Everest Institute? My Everest Institute I think that was it. Everest Institute, black guy commercial. You sitting on the couch, you ain't doing shit. Get your ass up and do something with your life. Play Astro's Playroom. See, they should have did that. They should have got the black guy. Had him in the PS5 commercials. He could have been competing with Daniel Kaluuya from the Xbox Series X commercials. My God, PlayStation, you're dropping the damn ball. I mean, no, I'm thinking of Apple. They got the one guy back from the old commercials from the Mac commercials, the Mac versus this is the Mac, this is PC. That was a whole tangent I went on, but you know what? It was valid. Um, hey, one day you see that dude from Everest commercials on PlayStation, you know who to thank. Wink, wink, wink. After that, I had to, I mean, it's a ritual at this point. Black Ops Cold War. So pretty much right after that, went into Black Ops Cold War, played the campaign. I have to say, overall, pretty disappointed, especially compared to the other Call of Duties. Um, I don't know, and it's not. I'm not even like pulling Cold War, Call of Duty, same Call of Duty every year thing. Not even pulling that card. It's like it just it was just like mediocre. And like it's one thing like if it had like a lot of like, Michael Bay-esque moments and stuff, which actually, I mean, I eat that shit up to be honest. So I mean, it's just I don't know. It was like it's a combination of predictability as well as lack of personality. It feels like, yeah, I don't know. It just feels like I don't know. None of the missions really stuck out, were necessarily significant, which always. At least there's generally at least like one mission from almost every Call of Duty that's pretty notable that you remember. Um, that it's like, this was cool. I really like that. I guess it was one. Is one where I mean, it's a 5 hour campaign. I mean, I hope people aren't upset with me spoiling Call of Duty campaign, but um, it was one segment where basically, and that like going back to the predictability point, where it's very similar to the original Black Ops with the memories and the numbers and stuff like that, and with this, they kind of do roughly the same thing, but do like a little different spin on it. Where it's like, oh, we made you create this character that you were on the opposite side this whole time, but now you have the choice if you want to defect or um or stick with them and we'll kill you. So I mean, which one? And I mean, yeah, I guess it just felt very predictable. I guess it's like I had it in the back of my head. I'm like, they're probably gonna do something with the you know what what's kind of always been the thing with Black Ops, and they did not well, they did disappoint by not disappointing. If to not get too complicated, but yeah, just disappointing. That's probably the yeah. I just it was fine. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't necessarily excellent. I got to shoot some people. Also, I played on the PS5 version, so with the adaptive triggers, I feel I talked about it a little bit on Twitter. I feel very indifferent about it. It seems like the intent with the adaptive triggers is that each gun acts differently and gives you like different like um force or resistance depending on that. And but I guess it just felt kind of off. But I guess maybe it's just to I guess to play devil's advocate to myself, but um I was just jumping uh across a lot of guns just to get a concept or a better understanding of like what actually is what the adaptive triggers are doing. But yeah, it's like I'm not quite sure. It's like I don't hate it, but I can't fully wrap my head around it yet. I believe the intention is to simulate an actual trigger on the gun, but it just felt very inconsistent. But maybe that's what a gun, some of those guns feel like. But then again, I've never shot a gun, so I mean, I'm sorry. I'm just showing my purity right now. But it's true. I'm sorry. That came out the way it did, but I, a switch, have never shot a gun. You know, hopefully. Well, I mean, I do wanna shoot one day. But either way, so yeah, I don't know. Your mileage may vary, but for me, at least initially, playing through the campaign, which was like I think 5-6 hours, it felt like, uh, it yeah, I just indifference I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I was still trying to figure it out, I guess. So, I mean, take that for what you will. I don't know. This is also coming off of playing Astro's Playroom, so maybe like my expectations were unrealistic or whatever, but I don't know. You know, Astro's Playroom definitely set the bar in terms of expectations for, I want I don't know, I feel like I have this like lingering desire to like especially with Deathloop when they mention that like when you shoot your gun and it jams, the trigger will completely lock. And I don't know, I guess for some weird reason I wanted Call of Duty to do that where like, you're out of bullets and you try to shoot again and your gun just locks. Maybe it does. I guess maybe I am a very obsessive reloader when it comes to shooters. So I don't know. I think I deliberately tried to do it a few times and it would not do it at all. So I don't know. But multiplayer wise, I did definitely enjoy way more, of course, as always with majority of the Call of Duties. Um, gunplay felt pretty good. And boy, that was a good taste of that buttery, delicious, juicy 120 FPS. Cause man, it is so great. It is so great. It's just the smoothness. And then in turn, because it's so smooth, you get even better response time. So it's like a win-win. But yeah, it felt really good. You can tell some of the I guess not deficiencies. Well, yeah, I guess deficiencies in terms of, you know, cross gen play because I noticed when you join a game, it just tells you waiting for other players. So you're just in the game, just waiting for people. You can't like play the game. You're just in the menus waiting for peasant PS4 other peasant console players. So I am very much joking. In terms of loading in the game. So uh, kind of unfortunate, but it's understandable. So I mean, I guess I wasn't expecting that, but like a couple other people suggested, I think yeah, definitely having like the gun range option from I think Advanced Warfare. I think that was the last game they did that where you can like shoot your gun and test out attachments before um loading into a game, which I think would be a pretty dope option to implement in this game for people that have PS5. Doesn't necessarily give you an advantage at all. You're just shooting with weapons and guns, experimenting until people are all loaded in. So one hope, one dream, one desire. We'll see. Maybe you could turn that. I believe you might be able to turn crossplay off, but I think maybe specifically crossplay, not cross platform play. I forgot the terminology for two consoles in the same family, but that's what I meant. So yeah, and then after that, I mean, it was a given. Miles Morales played it in all its entirety, did all the side stuff. It's pretty great. It's definitely better than the original Spider-Man from a gameplay perspective for sure. I guess some like plot points were a little iffy, but I mean, I kind of understood considering the um I guess scope of the game in terms of length. So yeah, but I will say it does definitely set up for a sequel, which is pretty dope. Um yeah, I feel like it's a given. It's gonna be like you could play as either Spider Man or Miles Morales. That feels like it feels like what's heavily being suggested is gonna be the case that you could play as either, which would be pretty dope if that's the case. Yeah, I feel like co-op is the only route. You got two established superheroes, two established Spider-Men that have unique abilities to themselves. Peter Parker has a lot more gadgets than Miles, but Miles excels with the Venom abilities, where he can do a cool jump even while web swinging, which is pretty dope. Awesome. He can also do this sweet ass charge. What else can he do? He did the charge and the slam and the explosion. So I mean, I feel like that's where they're going, and I think they were like maybe kind of possibly just testing out the waters in terms of how maybe people received Miles Morales from a gameplay perspective before maybe making a few tweaks before the Spider-Man 2 or whatever, however that's gonna look like. That'd be, I mean, yeah, they could do. There's a lot of potential. There really is. Yeah, man. Ugh. Yeah. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. And also, I have to really point this out. Just a PSA for all game developers. Please, for the love of God, stop putting in like 600, damn near even 1,000 fucking collectibles that are like pointless, meaningless, and just like not fun. And I feel like Spider-Man Miles Morales is probably, of course, always, definitely including the original Spider-Man as well, just making collectibles more meaningful and fun again, where it's like a worthy reward for getting the collectible, where you get a little bit more backstory, as well as not doing too much where you're like unnecessarily bloating the game just to artificially bloat it, which is always been a pet peeve of mine with games in that respect, where I'm gonna artificially just put like 5,000 collectibles on the map, so have fun, you know. Like, no, I'm not doing that. Well, I guess I'm not getting a platinum for this one, So yeah, so this is probably gonna be definitely one of the games I do get a platinum. Like I got the platinum for Spider-Man because they were so doable and fair and reasonable, and the rewards were pretty worthy. So developers, please take note from Insomniac, because they set an example, you know. But all in all, I definitely enjoyed the game thoroughly. And I, of course, I'd be lying if I wasn't excited and thankful to see a superhero of color, another superhero of color, on a such a, I guess, high scale game like this, which I think is pretty great. I not gonna lie to y'all, the man tears came out at the end. It's just it was a moment at the end where it's always a soft spot for me for some reason, where just when your back's against the wall and just like common people are just standing up for you, just something about that always gets me, and it totally got me. I don't think that's necessarily spoiling the game, the ending, but just to leave a little bit for interpretation. But yeah, it it definitely delivered. I was also surprised by the length. I felt it was a pretty good length. I was satisfied with it, especially factoring in all of the side stuff that you can do, which I think is definitely worthwhile. Oh man, I forgot at the end there is a like a side, a collectible that got me too. That did get me too. So just hey, I'm not gonna lie to y'all and say, oh yeah, man, almost cried. And I ain't gonna lie, I cried. I did. So there you go. Yeah, I think that was pretty much it for that. Then I told you I was going all in this past well, since last episode for sure. Then I went on to Demon Souls. I was knocking them out. Demon Souls, man. I mean, I feel like at this point, most people know what they're getting into when they get into these games, but that the format of these games is basically, for those that may not know, you die, Um, you generally, for the most part, die a lot, and it's a matter of a game of perseverance. And, um, you know, yeah, really, essentially, it is. It really just essentially is a game of perseverance. And that's what I do appreciate about these games, Soulsborne games in general, is that they're they can be tough, but they're always generally fair. There's generally some way to get past it. It's just a matter of figuring it out and mastering it and like executing it, to the point where you actually succeed. And then once you do, you just get that big payoff of fulfillment that gives you enough to keep you going throughout the rest of the game, which is definitely what happened with me. Um, I did have the advantage personally, at least, of somewhat recently playing the original Demon Souls on PS3, which helped a fucking ton. Like being aware of some of the traps and some of the bosses' weaknesses and things like that. So I think I definitely the game would have took me longer. I think it in general took me like 25 hours to beat the remake, but man, I actually streamed. Yeah, I have that all on YouTube. On youtube.com/aswitch, where I played the entirety of Demon Souls original death counter and all. And yeah, I I forgot, like, I got to a really hard point where I got like literally frustrated to the point where I like dropped the game for like 2 months before jumping back. I think maybe three, before jumping back into it and actually eventually beating it. Then, um, so I mean, it's not it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure, because it will make you quit for sure, especially if it's your first go around. Luckily, I had the advantage of a second go around, but even then, considering how different the game looks too, you can kind of account to some of that. But even though, um, I think it's true that like when you play a Souls game, you for the most part know pretty much everywhere you're going. When you get a good sense of the maps and shortcuts and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, it was great though. I'm not even gonna lie. It was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of frustration, a lot of major losses where I died with a lot of souls and died again before I could get my souls, which is a factor of the souls genre where souls is the main currency of the game, and you need those to level up, get items. It's basically just your overall main currency, basically essentially money in the game. And the fact that um yeah, when you got like what, 100,000 souls, and you die to a boss, and then you have to make your way all the way back to the boss, but some fucking random enemy just wants to fucking backstab you that you didn't see before, and now all those 100,000 souls you worked for, they're gone. So um you want to play again? that's essentially that's essentially Demon Souls, or Souls games in a nutshell. So uh but it's good though. It's that thrill of that, of succeeding and surpassing that, which I think is definitely a great feeling. It gets that dopamine gets in there. Definitely comes into play. So, but yeah, all in all, I think it's definitely a very faithful remake of the original Demon Souls. At least now having a fairly fresh reference in my head from the 2 years ago. Um, they really were very faithful. It doesn't feel like they necessarily changed much, really, to be honest. Um, but at the same time, I think because From Software's games are so iconic and distinct, I think them potentially changing too much would compromise too much of the game, and I think would make things more negative. Well, people wouldn't like it as much, I don't think. But I think they did a really good job of balancing, uh, putting in a lot of quality of life stuff. A huge one is when you freaking are like over encumbered, basically, and you picking up items. You can actually fucking send the item to your storage box at the Nexus instead of having in the previous game, the PS3 version, you'd have to freaking leave the item, go back to the Nexus, drop all your items, and then come back to get the item, which in a lot of cases is just a pain because it's generally pretty difficult to get some of these items. You have to meet certain conditions. And then there's the whole factor of like world tendency, which is this weird, mysterious thing where it's essentially kind of like, um, yeah, it's kind of mysterious, but it's essentially like the more you die, the darker the world tendency gets, and the more you defeat bosses, the lighter the world tendency gets. And I think the lighter is the easier, darker is with the harder. But there's some very weird situational things where like some doors won't open until like the tendency is either very dark or very light. And yeah, it's still very mysterious, and I think Bluepoint actually did a good job of still main for good or bad maintaining that mystery, in this remake. But all in all, I'm at least personally as a pretty decent Souls fan, I'm very satisfied with the remake. And I mean, if you haven't seen a trailer for the game is fucking gorgeous. This is why you get a PS5. I mean, I'm just saying, if you trying to showcase the investment of a PS5, this game is it. Um, Considering if you're, up for dying a lot and accepting dying a lot and accepting losing souls and money and dying a lot, then, I mean, take that for what you will. But I mean, uh, it's good. It's great. It's fulfilling. It's fulfilling, Um, so you could definitely get a lot of my sentiments when playing this in the my Demon Souls playthrough, cause man, frustration ensues consistently. So yeah, so definitely highly recommend Demon Souls. Blue Point knocked it out the park. It's obvious why they got picked up by Sony. That's a get. That's a get right there. Cause man, they are like freaking. I have to say, probably the best um remake development company I've seen. They freaking made Metal Gear. They did the Metal Gear collection on PS3, and that was probably that's like definitely the best versions of Metal Gear 2 and 3. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. So they I mean the track record speaks for themselves, really. So yeah. So after that, last night I also like I dabbled a little bit in Devil May Cry Special Edition. Um, for those that don't know, Special Edition generally has just some very extra stuff. I think it has a new difficulty mode, Legendary Dark Knight, which I think is a lot more enemies at once, and of course, the coolness that is cool himself, Virgil, motivation. If motivation was if motivation was a person, Virgil would be it. Now I'm motivated. Um, yeah, so he's messing with him a little bit. I haven't fully like played with him. I only played like a mission, I think 2 missions essentially, and buying some of the moves. But I'm definitely about to put some time in that void and get some of these like super uber insanity combos. Mess with him. But yeah, he's pretty dope. He is pretty dope, at least initially. He has, I think, a Beowulf, Force Edge, and I forgot the katana Yamato. So he basically can swap between all those, and he has a couple of nuances with like, in the trailers you saw, he can spawn V, um, and like do this like, I guess it's like a temporary attack, but it seems like there's more potential there. Devil Trigger, of course, and stuff like that. So, he's pretty dope. Um, I kind of want more story to kind of understand what happened between, him ripping off. I mean, spoilers, I guess, if you haven't played it by now, but ripping off Nero's arm to get Yamato. But, um, yeah, that's I guess that's always been my gripe with Virgil whenever he's in the special edition of these games. He's not necessarily incorporated story wise. He's kind of like Tekken, where they have like a guest character who isn't in a story but you can play them. That's kind of what it feels like it's gonna be with five, where you can basically play through all the levels, but it's not really canonical necessarily. They might tie some stuff in, I assume, maybe more so than the previous Devil May Cry games. But my only little gripe, really, and of course, I'm not sure or discovered it yet, but being able to play as a, either Trish, Lady, or possibly Nico, which I'm somewhat doubtful, but we'll see. Um, yeah. All in all, though, I'm motivated. I'm motivated. Oh no, I got to. I got to. Uh, I'm motivated. The way I'm motivated. Oh man, I am stupid. Let me stop. Yeah. So that's pretty much been my at least exposure to the PS5. I guess to focus on the PS5 a little bit more, which I guess I kind of somewhat lose focus on. Um, is definitely can use some work in terms of the UI. Obviously, like my muscle memory for PlayStation 4, specifically like turning off the console where you hold PlayStation button to enter rest mode, which is a huge adjustment now. Now it's different. You hold to go home, but to power off or go to rest mode, you hit the PS button and then go to rest mode. So a little weird nuances there, like capturing and stuff is a little iffy in terms of like there's no dedicated space to go to your captures where it's like just a app, and like if you don't have it in focus long enough, like if you're playing multiple games like I was, it the app will like leave the carousel basically, and you have to like basically search for it again. So that could use some work. Trophies is very difficult to um just immediately go to your trophy collection. It feels very convoluted, at least initially. It feels like there could be less steps to get to the trophy area in the game. It yeah, it feels like the only way I was able to like reliably, and that's loosely using the term, go to trophies is to um like I would get a trophy and then like go to that trophy from the notifications, and then from there you can go to view trophies, and that seemed to be like the only somewhat semi consistent way to do that. I think if you go to your profile and then trophies, that's one way, but again, that feels like too many steps to do that's needed. For something that I think a lot of people live and die by, for a lot of their games. So, um, yeah, that's a big gripe. Of course, like the biggest one that I think we mentioned last episode is storage, which is a pretty big issue at this point, especially the very limited space with the internal hard drive on the PS5. Of course, we got the external expansion, which will get support hopefully sooner than later. But the biggest like issue at the moment is not being able to copy PS5 or I mean move PS5 games to an external hard drive, regardless if it's able to run it or not. Obviously a simple message: you can't play this on a standard hard drive. You have to move it to the internal hard drive. Okay, just copy it from the external to the internal. For whatever weird reason that's currently not doable right now, if you have a game on the internal drive, you have to delete it. You cannot move it. You can't even move PS4 games that you move to the internal hard drive back to the external hard drive, which that's just like a big oversight in terms of priorities. Because I think that's definitely one of the top priorities, especially, if you're going to give us a very limited spaced console that it, won't even have the external SSD storage enabled yet. So, huge issue. Then there was one issue I think that's been going around the mill in terms of the internet space with PS5s like just turning off, which it happened to me yesterday for the first time since playing, or since started playing, where I was playing Demon Souls. Yeah, I was playing Demon Souls. It seemed like the game crashed, and then the PS5 completely shut off completely after that. And then when I powered it back on, it said rebuilding database, and then it rebuilt the database, but then there was a black screen and I saw nothing. And I was like, all right. So then I think I ended up doing a manual shutdown and then powering it back on, and then it booted up just fine with no issues. And then, I was able to play and haven't had any issues since yet, or so far. So I believe what people were speculating on Reddit, and like Reset Air and stuff, was that it's something to do with the external hard drive. And I think coincidentally, I do recall I was PlayStation 5 was downloading some updates for the games, for some PS4 games on the external hard drive. And this was while I was playing Demon Souls. And I think for some reason, the PlayStation 5 just doesn't accept that, where it's like, oh, no, no, no. And then just dies, I guess. So keep that in mind. I think there's an option to turn off auto updates. I know a lot of people have been recommending to not go into safe mode, just to turn off their PS5 completely until they update it, which they did do a recent update this past Tuesday, but didn't really see because this happened after the update. So either it helped or hurt it in my case, but I don't know. So one thing to keep in mind, but it seems to be firmware based. Doesn't necessarily seem hardware based from what I saw, because the PlayStation booted up fine, but it wasn't just displaying anything, which at least I seem to attribute to the firmware. So, you know what? I think I got offered to work for PlayStation software wise. Like, like I should let me do it. But yeah, so well, but outside of that, I think this is a good start for the PS5, with those big major issues aside. But it's definitely better than PS4 in a lot of ways. I mean, obviously the super insanely fast load times are just that, just they're crazy. Like Demon Souls, you load into Between Worlds in 5 seconds, which is it's pretty much true what they said. You can't even, like, normally I'd be like looking in Twitter, looking at my phone or whatever, and like now I don't at all. Which is actually, yeah, it's a kind of a realization I just had now. Like, I actually am consistently playing more than otherwise, where I would be distracted. Like, I'd be waiting for something to load. I'd open up my phone, check Twitter, social media, and then some cases I just be distracted for like an hour, 30 minutes, and then which in turn would keep me somewhat disengage me from the game to some extent. So, but I mean, I beat Astro's Playroom, Cold War, Spider Man's Miles Morales all within a weekend. So I mean, you know, um, yeah, I mean that might be a testament to the future of these loading times, which I am not opposed to at all. So yeah, so shifting gears now to Xbox Series X. Admittedly, this is the console I've not messed with a lot because of the PS5, and you know, unfortunately, Sony just got that upper hand with the exclusive. So, but what I did mess with was Yakuza Like a Dragon. Like I mentioned earlier, played like roughly about an hour, and got a little taste of the combat in the tutorial. I see the potential. I could definitely get used to it, be fine with it. Like, I don't have an issue with general turn-based RPGs, but just in this particular case where it's a game that used to be probably one of my favorite genres, beat 'em up, now being a essentially a turn-based game is kind of my gripe with the game off the bat, like starting this up. But of course, heard good stuff about it, and of course, just as a Yakuza fan, outside of the beat 'em up aspect, really liking and appreciating the awesome, funny, funny sometimes sweet, sentimental side stories, as well as the serious stories and things like that. Stuff outside of the general gameplay. So I mean, it seems like this game will have all that and then some. So I am definitely looking forward to it. I'm probably gonna beat Devil May Cry Special Edition first, and then get into finally get in, get on the Xbox side and start messing with Yakuza. So yeah, and then Modern Warfare. I guess due to the weird cross generation stuff with Black Ops Cold War that we talked about last episode, which is still weird to me that like this game they're using Modern Warfare's, which I don't have an issue with, like engine and stuff, like and using Cold War's guns eventually. So you'll have mountain stuff, but like the multiplayer aspect of Cold War is totally different. But either way, multiplayer wise, the Series X did get the 120 FPS. I think asset updates too. I think weirdly enough, PlayStation doesn't have it yet. I'm guessing that's maybe in the works, or maybe I did something wrong. I don't know. I think that was one weird thing about PlayStation 5 too, is that for some PS4 games, I had to like literally delete them and re-download them, which is weird, but whatever. But with the Series X version, again, that sweet, buttery, smooth, juicy 120 FPS is unrivaled. So, best believe that's. I think I might be sticking with Modern Warfare for a little longer, and the fact that you do earn XP for essentially Black Ops' season by still playing Modern Warfare is a pretty cool touch too. So I think it's a pretty cool median of meeting both of the games together. So all in all, I mean, from a software standpoint, I mean, the Series X is essentially just the Xbox One but beefed up. It's literally, it feels like at least, no major change to the UI, which is good and bad. I mean, good that is I'm totally familiar with it now, but bad that I am. It doesn't feel like, oh man, this is a new generation of gaming like you definitely get from the PlayStation 5. So it's kind of a double edged sword. But I mean, all in all, I mean, it does perform. I mean, again, Load times and stuff are super fast, which is definitely the biggest gain from this generation. Which, at least for now, I think technically kind of has an advantage over PC as well. Currently, at least until PC comes out with their direct storage architecture, which essentially will basically directly compete with the current consoles as of now. So yeah, um, yeah. All in all, boy, I'm a happy camper though. I'm fortunate to have gotten gotten the consoles as well as a 3090. So stress for me is over. So I'm satisfied with that. I'm good for a while now. So um yeah. I think all in all, I think that pretty much covers pretty much what I've been up to gaming wise. Cause you know what, it's great. It's great so far. With minor hiccups and issues, of course, people using the term us being beta testers, which is pretty true. I mean, of course, everybody's not gonna come out perfect. Some people gonna have some issues. Been hearing a lot of other stuff too, like PS5 wise specifically. Coil whine, which is not a major issue, just noise related. Um, the one issue I talked about, rest mode, not being able to come out to rest mode, bricking. I think with Xbox as well, consoles being bricked, the disk drive being loud or not accepting discs or reading discs. So I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, hey, patience, and I mean, worst case, you have to take it back and they repair it and you get it back. So I mean, but then again, it's like, yeah, how are you gonna find one at this point, and how scarce they are? So all in all, yeah. So we'll move on to media real quick. So Mandalorian episode 3, I believe, caught that. Um, and we saw the premiere of Sasha Banks. I think maybe this might potentially be her first acting role outside of wrestling, being somebody who hasn't really, I loosely follow wrestling, but not really that closely. But I mean, for those that don't know, Sasha, she's my future wife. Um, she doesn't want to tell the public about it. She wants to keep us on a down low. I know she's currently married to somebody, I think, but I mean, I agreed to let that play until she wants to be with me. Until she figures that out. So, um, seriously though, it was a pretty cool episode. You got to see, I guess, this weird defected Mandalorian race, or this Mandalorian race that like doesn't necessarily agree with the traditional Mandalorian ways. So that was kind of interesting seeing that angle. But outside of that, again, I don't know. Just felt well, I guess there was some progress towards the main plot of, I guess, the Mandalorian trying to find the Jedi, which I suspect considering that there is a Obi-Wan um series in the works, that is probably maybe eventually gonna lead up to that, potentially maybe. Well, I don't know, maybe depending, I forgot the timeline of the Mandalorian. I think that's after everything. I don't know. It's gonna be some Jedi, but either way, so that was pretty cool, and I'm happy to say also finally finished Slam Dunk. To the point where I didn't even realize it. The last episode was happening before my eyes and I didn't even notice. I guess the last episode was basically Sakuragi and the whole crew, Shohoku B-ball team crew, facing off against their previous rivals, Ryonen and Shoyu, I believe. And, basically just playing a pickup game against the combined team of some of their best of, and beating them. And then they give like a very quick montage of all the players for the next game. I'm like, okay, all right, cool, all right, we're about to get into the nationals. And then I was looking at Crunchyroll. I was like, wait a minute, oh, one episode 101. And I was like, oh, that's the last episode? And then, I had that moment. I was like, oh man, I need closure now. So I somewhat kind of got it. I was looking at a Crunchyroll video just to summarize the appeal and like, I guess, story behind Slam Dunk, which kind of helps satiate it a bit. But now I think I'm probably gonna read the manga now. That's actually a first for me. Well, I did read some of my friends' um Berserk manga when I would like commute to work and stuff. But I don't know, man. Now it's like I may actually start reading. I know a black guy just reading. That's just I'm sorry. I just can't. I can't help it. Um. So yeah. Outside of that, yeah, man. I just Slam Dunk is pretty good, man. I have to admit it. It's up there. I'd put it of the anime I've watched to completion so far. Uh, I don't. It's up there. It's up there between JoJo's. It's between JoJo's and Slam Dunk right now. I think. I feel like I kind of would put JoJo's a bit above. Yeah, I probably would maybe put JoJo's above Slam Dunk, but I think Slam Dunk is right below it. So, um, yeah. Outside of that, that's pretty much what I've been up to lately. Um, yeah. I think that will conclude episode 82, Switches Sites podcast. If you do feel like what you hear or saw, feel free to like, rate, and subscribe on your various podcasting platforms, which I am on. Um, yeah. Outside of that, I don't know. Be safe. Don't cough on people that don't want to be coughed. Them turkeys. Well, be cautious. So we still in the pandemic, y'all. I'm just let that be known. Don't think this is all hopscotch and fruit snacks because it's Thanksgiving and magically the pandemic's gone now. It's still there. So keep that in mind when trying to socially distance as much as you can in terms of family settings, because I think that's where we're also going to get a huge spike now, because people aren't going to be aware of it. So, be safe. Don't cough. Don't touch people that don't want to be touched. Till next time, y'all. Oh, yeah.
Nobody's safe.